All right, here we go. I'm going to start a blog. I guess what I'm looking to do here is document my process. I am going to do the Wim Hof Method, or the 10-week course on breathing and on exposure to cold, and being able to go more inward, and ultimately try to get more of a mind-body connection. So with that, I don't know if you all know who Wim Hof is, or I don't know if I'm not sure if this blog is going to be for me only, for capturing my data, or if I'm going to put this out. So I'm just going to mix a lot of things together, whether I'm talking to myself or whether I'm talking to all of you who are watching. But for those who might be watching, Wim Hof, I don't know if you're aware of who he is. He is called the Iceman. They did a documentary on him back in 2015, I believe, with Vice on HBO. Excellent. It's about 30, 40 minutes, something like that. But they actually follow him and work through the process that he has perfected, called the Wim Hof Method, that allows him to basically break the laws of what we always thought was physiologically possible. And so that obviously intrigued me, because I have a passion about human performance and what we can and can't do and what our minds will or will not let us do. So I just started reading on that and started watching a little bit more. And as I kind of fell into where I am now, where I'm kind of dealing with a few health issues, I'm finally having the first blip of high blood pressure. And I've always meditated kind of spotty, but I never really actually meditated as consistently as I wanted to. And there's times when I go to meditate where I can't actually get into my, what I call my Zen zone, where like I'm just into that cut or into that groove. So I start working on different types of breathing methods that might help me get there, or might help keep me there longer. And as I was doing my research on YouTube, I'm a nut when it comes to this type of thing, so I'm always studying and reading and doing different things like that. I found that holotropic breathing actually is kind of close to what Wim Hof does, but that was one of the bread trails that led me to Wim Hof, was the ability to control different things within your physiology by simply taking deep breaths. I mean, it sounds so ridiculous that you actually want to learn how to breathe, but most of us, like 98% of us, don't breathe correctly all the time. And if you do learn how to breathe in the right way during the right times, you actually can unlock a lot of the human potential that you didn't know you had. So in going in to study the Wim Hof method, the reason why I chose him, or chose his method, and that I found intriguing about his method, is this guy has done some crazy amazing things, from holding 20 some odd world records for crazy feats, as in being completely submerged in the ice for an unbelievable amount of time, like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, might be a little exaggerated, maybe 7 minutes, but swimming under a block of ice like 30 meters with his retinas freezing. I'm not making this up. I'll put the link down in the channel below. It's just, and then him being able, I think one of the things that I found so cool, or so interesting about him, is that he has challenged medicine everywhere across the entire world on what we believe is tied to our autonomic system and what we consciously can control. You know, when you think about autonomic system, you're thinking about breathing, you're thinking about your heart rate, you're thinking about your blood pressure, you're thinking about the different chemicals that you secrete into your blood, endorphins, adrenaline, melatonin, and things of these nature. It's always thought that these things are they're done through an automatic response to the stimulus around us, and that we truly don't have any control over it. But based off of something that's happening, the body will just react. Well, what Wim Hof has actually proved is that that's not actually the case. It is by large mostly autonomic, but that your mind can actually have influence over what you do and how you react to different things, and you can do it willingly, which I find very, very cool, because I'm all about believing that whatever we hold in our minds and whatever we hold in our hearts and that we focus on, we can actually bring something like that into reality, a form of that into reality. So a lot of it comes to do with how strong we are with our mind and with our focus, and reading a lot of books that talk about it, a lot of the different stories and a lot of the different writings that you'll find from shamans and people over in Tibet and all this have done some amazing things that have been documented but not studied by science. So I come from a science background as a pre-med biology major. So I love the idea that they actually started to wrap science around actually proving that the mind is something that we are not even close to being able to understand the potential of. Wim Hof actually had some endotoxins injected into his bloodstream, and endotoxins basically kick off an automatic immune reaction, which cause you to go through flu-like symptoms, and it happens about 99% of any person that gets injected with it. They were trying to prove that Wim Hof made the claim that he could actually control his immune system and that he never gets sick. So they wanted to put him to the test, so they injected him with this endotoxin, and he was able to actually suppress an immune reaction. And you can, that video will also be down here. It's in the same video. I think there's 2 or 3 that kind of do the whole arc of Wim Hof if you're interested. But they thought that maybe he was a fluke and that out of that 99%, he was the 1% that actually had the genetic disposition to not be affected by endotoxins. Well, they decided, he told them, it's not just me, it's anyone that I can teach this method to. The method is easy to do, and it doesn't require you to have anything to be able to do it. You just got to have commitment. And so he trained 12 other people to go through his method. They brought them all into a hospital, tested them all in the exact same way, and 100% of them passed. They were all able to suppress their immune reaction too. All this to say, I think that there is an ability that's innate within us to rise and control our surroundings by how we think and how we feel and how we project into our surroundings, not to live as a hostage of those surroundings. So I'm doing a little exploration into that, hopefully a little exploration into being more spiritually sound with myself. And hopefully if this is kind of where I'm thinking it's going to go, it's going to actually help me with some of the things that I'm dealing with on a health level too. So with all that said, you can check out Wim Hof if you want to. I'll probably be speaking more about him in different blurbs as I go through my daily or maybe every few day blogs that I decide that I'm going to shoot. And I'll tell you a little bit more about him, things I find fascinating about him, different research papers that have been published with all of the different findings that they've had for him, different tidbits and like that. I think it'd be pretty cool. But for me today, this is day 2 of the Wim Hof Method course, 10-week course. First day, retention. So you go through a breathing process, and a breathing process, I'll maybe link you to one of his videos that talks about it too, where you're taking deeper breaths in and less breaths out. So over time, you're oxygenating your system and then the reaction to that is you get to a deeper place, but you're also able to hold your breath longer. But the oxygenation of your body actually moves your body into a more alkaline state instead of acidic state. And this is where I feel that Wim is saying that he doesn't get sick because he does this breathing on a regular basis, which puts his body in a more alkaline phase instead of an acidic phase. And for those who know about alkaline water and all the things that they've done studies on pH balance, a body that is more alkaline than acidic does not have the same ailments that the other person has. So people that have a very alkaline diet and that work out regularly, you won't see many of them, if any, with cancer and autoimmune diseases and things like that, because the body does not set itself up to be a good breeding ground for those type of illnesses to manifest. So the oxygenation of your body is actually what gets you more into the alkaline phase. So I'm kind of interested in that. And so I went through my first 2 days. So the breathing part, you do breathing for about 30, 40 breaths in and out in a continuous motion. And then after that, you hold your breath. You expel all of the air and then you hold your breath for as long as you can. And then when you get to the point where you get the fight and flight response, your body will start kicking. That's when you release, and then you inhale for 15 seconds. And I'm kind of jumping into a little bit further into a phase where you tense up your body, and kind of like feel like the surge of it coming up towards your head, and you just hit this euphoria that I didn't even know existed very, very quickly. And so that's the breathing part of it. And then you hold that, and then you let it out after 15 seconds, and then you do that for a cycle of 3 times. And then after that, you go into a stretching exercise where you use your actual breathing process to breathe or to move blood flow into different parts of your body that's stiff, different parts of your body that is not as limber, and the blood that goes through actually lubricates the joints and the tendons and things like that. And I thought this was ridiculous, and I'm so rigid, I cannot do bends and stretches to save my life. But I was able to actually take and put my foot into the yoga cross-legged stance this morning after 2 days of it. So that's pretty impressive for me as a small, I guess, of what is to come. None of this is going to be edited. I'm just going straight off the cuff. So for me and for any of you that happen to be watching, if you want to skip forward or whatever, you can. I am a rambler. So day one, I did 2 minutes and 22 seconds of retention, meaning that's as long as I've held my breath. I did that on the third phase. Day two, I did 2 minutes and 18 seconds. That was today. And I actually screwed up because you can do a little stopwatch with it. Wim Hof has an app that you can use, or you can just use your regular stopwatch on your phone. And I kind of messed mine up. So I think I was actually a little bit longer than that, but it's something that's going to build over time. But yesterday, day one, my blood pressure was 137 over 88. Today, my blood pressure is 137 over 91. So not much of a difference. That's something that I'll continue to track over time. The thing that I found most impressive, at least early on into this, is the amount of time that I actually spent in the Zen zone. So for those who actually do meditation, you might know what I'm talking about, and many people call it different things. But when you're going through your meditation and you get to the place where you kind of detach and you kind of like move off into somewhere else where there's when you move into the spot where there's really no thought and you're kind of just in a different place, a different zone, and in that zone you intuition and different things come to you. You're able to relax and focus on different parts of your body, and you can get tingling sensations that run all through. So I just call that whole thing the Zen zone. I don't know if there's different levels when you're in alpha based off of what level of meditation depth you get to. I'm doing some studying on that too, but getting to that zone is something that most people don't get to, so they quit meditating. It is something that it's different for everyone, and you have to kind of figure out what works for you and what's the best method to get you there. Me, I've tried a few different things, and again, for me, it all came down to finding the right breathing to help. So 2 days in a row, I found myself in the Zen zone very, very quickly, with today being probably so good that I actually stayed in it for about 20 minutes. So after my breathing 3 sessions was over, I just stayed there for an extra 30 minutes, kind of juicing that up and marinating in that moment, and it was wonderful. So I'll continue to do these blogs. I think I'll do them whenever I have time or whenever I remember. So day 1 and 2 is today, Dwayne, and then we'll keep stats of everything as we keep going, the retention and my blood pressure. And last but not least, one of the things that I want to make sure that I remember to tell myself is how grateful I am for everything that is around me. This has been an awesome. Oh, by the way, I'm in Detroit. I'm in San Diego right now. I was listening to little Eminem earlier, and I'm in a beautiful Airbnb with my lovely girlfriend Carrie. She's at a conference right now, but to show you guys just how cool this is a little place right down in Little Italy, and when I say right downtown, you can see right out. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take you outside. Just Amazing stuff. So this is right outside our balcony. A lot of construction going on over there. That's pretty noisy in the morning, but I don't mind. Other than that, it's beautiful. The weather is golden, and these are the small things that we need to make sure that we stop and drink in, because that's why we're here, right? We're here for the experience. And I'm very, very blessed that I had a chance to come out here and spend some time with my girl and see a little bit more of the world. But for everyone, I mean, I think make sure that you're taking time out to find what your passion is and then live towards that passion. If you don't know what the passion is that you have, then start looking at the things that you do on a regular basis when you find yourself kind of zoning out. And those are the things that will lead you towards where your passion may be. My passion is always human potential, us being able to rise above, and us finding different ways to help others. So that's kind of where my passion is. That's where it's leading me. We'll see where this goes. It's going to be interesting. But for you, be kind. Find a way to help someone else, and just remember that happiness starts from within. You will never find it on the outside looking in. So go inward. Peace.